Representative Madeleine Dean just did something no one expected. She opened a book, and she read the final paragraph of Virginia Giuffre's memoir aloud to Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's face. Virginia Giuffre was one of Epstein's most courageous victims. She died last year. Her words are an indictment of everyone who has failed to bring Epstein's co-conspirators to justice. Where are those videotapes the FBI confiscated from Epstein's houses, and why haven't they led to prosecution of any more abusers?
Where are those videotapes the FBI confiscated from Epstein's houses, and why haven't they led to prosecution of any more abusers? That's from Virginia.
Dean met with Blanche privately weeks ago. She laid out his failures: failure to redact survivor information, failure to release the remaining files, refusal to prosecute anyone. Now she is asking him again, in public, under oath. Blanche tried to defend himself. Dean cut him off. She held up binders full of redactions. "I almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway," she said, "because it's all covered up."
This is investigation into the potential co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. I almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway because it's all covered up. It's all covered up.
Then she asked the question Blanche could not answer. "You were paid $10 million to represent the president. You hang a 30-foot banner of his face over the DOJ. You said you'd tell him, 'I love you, sir.' Is your obligation to the victims or to the president?" Let's watch.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers. Thank you to our ranking members. Welcome, Acting Attorney General. I want to speak about justice for the Epstein victims and survivors. And I'm going to begin with the closing words of Virginia Roberts Giuffre in her book. It's literally the last paragraph. She writes, "I hope for a world in which predators are punished, not protected. Victims are treated with compassion, not shamed, and powerful people face the same consequences as anyone else. I yearn, too, for a world in which the perpetrators face more shame than their victims do, and where anyone who's been trafficked can confront their abusers when they are ready, no matter how much time has passed. We don't live in this world yet. I mean, seriously, where are those videotapes the FBI confiscated from Epstein's houses? And why haven't they led to prosecution of any more abusers?" That's from Virginia. It was printed, as you know, posthumously after her death. Mr. Blanche, you and I had a chance a couple of weeks ago at the Department of Justice to speak about these cases. We discussed three things in connection with this monstrous, decades-long crime spree. Number one, your failure to fully redact survivor information. Number two, your failure to follow the law and release the remaining files. And number three, your refusal to prosecute anybody else. Mr. Blanche, let's continue that inane conversation, but this time it's public. This time, and more importantly, it's under oath. You're speaking to Congress. So let's get into it. When will you comply with the law and release all of the files?
As I said to you when we spoke before, we have complied with the law. We have reviewed.
There are 3 million more documents, and you know what you said to me? They're all duplicative, and they include another guy named Epstein.
No, I didn't
Nobody's
say
buying.
that.
That's
I did
what you
not
said.
say that.
That's what you said.
So look,
reclaiming my time.
Can I answer? Can I answer the question?
No, may not. I
Okay.
just gave you the answer you gave me.
Telling.
No, actually, it's my time, Mr. Chairman. I think those are the rules of this committee. I told him the answer he gave me, and now in public he's trying to say something else. Please stop the clock. Can I get that time back? May I have 20 seconds back, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Mr. Blanche.
You don't want me to answer the question.
Mr. Blanche, as you know, I visited DOJ 3 times for as much as 10 hours, and I'll be going back. Does the Epstein File Transparency Act say that the file should be available to members of Congress with a minder at DOJ where you're in a secure room, you can't write on any of the binders, you can take your own notes? Is that what the Transparency Act says?
It doesn't require we allow you to come to DOJ at all. We did that on our own.
What does it say in terms of transparency? It says that they should be made publicly available.
And they were.
Am I correct?
And
publicly
they were.
available.
And they were.
Oh, well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
I beg your pardon.
2 minutes and 10 seconds.
And I'd actually like to get 20 seconds back. How do I get cut off 2 minutes into this?
2 minutes and 10 seconds left.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman.
No, that's not right.
What rules are we operating under?
That's not right.
Because he's under a little bit of heat for not prosecuting anyone in these monstrous crimes? I've been in the room. I have been there. This is what I had to do, to transcribe, to show what is true. What is true is that the president has lied about being on Epstein's plane, and the unredacted files prove that. There's a lot in here. I am shocked at this. There's also this set of files in the file. This is investigation into the potential co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. I almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway because it's all covered up. It's all covered up. The American people are not stupid. They know that when members of Congress have to go in and actually unredact to try to find the truth for these victims, something is corrupt. Something is corrosive. You were paid $10 million to represent the president. You hang a 30-foot banner of the president's menacing face over the entrance to the Department of Justice. You said that if you were terminated or not moved forward as Attorney General, you would say to the president, "I love you, sir." So I have one question for you. Is your obligation to the victims and survivors of Epstein's heinous crimes and all his perpetrators, or is your first obligation to the President of the United States?
So without a doubt, we want to bring justice to every victim.
When will you bring that justice?
Can I please finish?
Excuse me.
Can I finish?
It's been decades. When will
Can
you
I
bring,
finish?
When will you bring the justice?
So as I was saying,
When will you prosecute?
Oh,
And who will you prosecute?
can I
Please allow the
speak?
witness to answer.
You told me in our
So I'll tell
conversation, you
so
blamed the victims.
Every victim
Let the record
of Mr.
reflect,
Epstein.
he told me that the victims didn't give good names.
Let me be crystal clear, that this Department of Justice will always protect victims and will always prosecute anybody we can, okay? Full stop, no ifs, ands, or buts, okay? What you are showing in a game of showmanship are redactions because of victims, because that prosecution memorandum
Perpetrators.
talks about, excuse me?
Perpetrators, too.
How do you know that? Go ahead.
Talk to the
Exactly.
victims.
So
Talk to the victims.
they're victims' names, which we are required to redact, required by law to redact, which we did. Okay? So I take
Mr.
umbrage
Chairman,
to
I
the
realize
idea.
I'm over time. I thank you for that indulgence. I want to ask for unanimous consent to enter records onto the record. May I do that now?
Without objection.
Thank you. The
Time of
first,
the gentlelady has expired.
This hearing is a masterclass in moral witness. Representative Madeleine Dean did not come to ask polite questions. She did not come to engage in legal debate. She came to hold a mirror up to the acting Attorney General of the United States and force him to look at what he has become. The weapon she chose was not a subpoena. It was a book, Virginia Giuffre's memoir. She read the final paragraph aloud, the words of a woman who was trafficked as a child by Jeffrey Epstein, a woman who spent her adult life fighting for justice, a woman who died last year, still waiting for that justice. Dean had met with Blanche privately at the Department of Justice. She sat with him for hours. She laid out the failure to fully redact survivor information, leading to victims being re-traumatized when their names were released. Failure to follow the law and release the remaining files. 3 million more documents that the DOJ claims are duplicative or involve another guy named Epstein. Failure to prosecute anybody else. Decades after Epstein's crimes came to light, years after his death. 0 prosecutions of the powerful men who participated in his trafficking ring. Blanche's response in that private meeting, according to Dean, was to blame the victims, to say they didn't give good names, to dismiss their testimony as insufficient. Now, in public, under oath, he denies saying it. Dean does not let him off the hook. She tells the committee exactly what he said. She does not back down. The procedural fight that follows is telling. Dean is cut off after 2 minutes and 10 seconds. She objects. She asks what rules they are operating under. The chairman does not answer. The implication is clear. The witness is under heat. The committee is protecting him. Dean pushes forward anyway. She holds up the binders. She says she almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway because everything is covered up. Redactions upon redactions. The names of perpetrators hidden. The truth buried. Then she lays out the evidence of Blanche's loyalty to Donald Trump. $10 million paid to represent the president. A 30-foot banner of Trump's face hanging over the entrance to the Department of Justice. A public statement that if he were terminated, he would say to the president, "I love you, sir." These are not the actions of an independent law enforcement official. These are the actions of a loyalist, a fixer, a man whose first obligation is clearly to the man who appointed him. Dean asks the question that should be asked of every Trump appointee. Is your obligation to the victims and survivors of Epstein's crimes? Or is your first obligation to the President of the United States? Blanche does not answer. He says, "Without a doubt, we want to bring justice to everything." That is not an answer. That is a evasion. Dean presses, "When will you bring that justice? Who will you prosecute?" Blanche tries to speak. Dean cuts him off. She reminds him that he blamed the victims in their private meeting. She tells the committee that every victim told her the same thing, that Blanche said the victims didn't give good names. Blanche's final defense is the same one that every Trump official uses when cornered. He says the Department of Justice will always protect victims and will always prosecute anybody they can. Full stop. No ifs, ands, or buts. But the record contradicts him. Years of inaction. Thousands of pages of files still withheld. Victims' names released while perpetrators' names remain redacted. A nearly $2 billion slush fund for people who claim they were weaponized by the Biden administration. And not a single new prosecution of an Epstein co-conspirator. Dean does not accept his answer. She points out that the redactions he is hiding behind are not just protecting victims. They are protecting perpetrators. The prosecution memorandum, she says, talks about perpetrators too. Blanche asks how she knows that. She tells him to talk to the victims, the same victims he dismissed in their private meeting, the same victims whose names were improperly released, the same victims who have been waiting for justice for decades. Virginia Giuffre's words hang over the entire hearing. Where are those videotapes the FBI confiscated from Epstein's houses, and why haven't they led to prosecution of any more abusers? She wrote that before she died. She never got an answer. Dean is asking the same question. Blanche has no answer. He talks about redactions. He talks about the law. He talks about protecting victims. But he does not say when he will prosecute anyone. He does not say who he will prosecute. He does not say whether the president's name appears in those files. He just says, "We want to bring justice," and hopes that is enough. It is not enough. The American people are not stupid. They know that when members of Congress have to go into a secure room at the Department of Justice and unredact documents themselves to find the truth, something is corrupt. Something is corrosive. Dean's final line is the summary of the entire hearing. She holds up the binders. She points to the 30-foot banner. She recounts the $10 million and the "I love you, sir." And she asks the question that Blanche will not answer. Whose side are you on? The hearing ends without an answer. Blanche is still the acting attorney general. The files are still withheld. The perpetrators are still free. But Dean did something that matters. She read Virginia Giuffre's words into the congressional record. She made sure that her voice was heard, even after her death. And she forced Blanche to sit there and listen. That is not nothing. In a system that protects the powerful, sometimes the only thing you can do is bear witness. Dean bore witness.